Thanks for joining. You can also share this link to others as that some other people can also join.
Sure, sir, sure.
कुरैशी सर आपके स्कॉलर भी ज्वाइन करने वाले हैं, शायद ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं AR सिद्दीकी सर कल देख के ही बताया, अरे मेरे गुरुजी आए राहुल ज्वाइन. Yeah, Shrudeep, we may start, I think.
Okay, sir. So I think all the participants are here. Okay. So dear participants, very good morning and warm greetings to each one of you present today. It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome you all the participants here. Hope you all are doing well and fine. I am Shrudeep De, the project executive of South Asian Institute for Advanced Research and Development, SAIARD, have taken this wonderful opportunity to welcome you all here in our Geography Special Lecture Series number 5, that is Contemporary Research Perspective in Geography. And this time, SAIARD wishing you all very happy International Day for Biological Diversity. So it's our immense pleasure that our chairman, Professor Vishwajit Roy Chaudhary sir, has joined with us in this auspicious day. So further making any delay, now I am going to request our honorable chairman and chief patron, Professor Vishwajit Roy Chaudhary sir, to deliver his inaugural speech. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shrudeep. And first of all, on behalf of South Asian Institute for Advanced Research and Development, I heartily welcome to all the participants, especially our honorable resource persons and distinguished speaker, Professor Salahuddin Qureshi sir, retired professor, Department of Geography, Aligarh Muslim University, as well as Professor Mahita Singh Rana sir from Rohtak and MD University Rohtak. So for this, for giving their kind consent to be a part of this monthly lecture series, that is the special lecture Contemporary Research Perspectives in Geography. Also, I would like to congratulate to all the audience, all the participants, those who have come from the different in academic institutions as well as from the foreign countries too. And as you know, and my dear students and colleagues and all that. As you know that today is the International Biodiversity Day, and geography is that kind of subject which basically deals with the both human and nature. And that's why this is the reason, hopefully today we have selected today's day for this particular lecture series. And as our both the resource persons are mostly is a well-known face in the geography subject, and I feel somehow I feel proud that I can give the opportunity to the youngsters, those who wants to know about and those who may be able to hear about your name, but also today they will get the opportunity to learn to hear from you also, sir. So it's our pleasure, and myself also, because first time I will go to hear the lecture of Salahuddin Qureshi sir and Mahita Singh Brana sir in our platform. So on behalf of SAIARD, it's a first kind of interaction with our institutions, with you, and that's a really pleasure for us and really proud moment for us also. Along with that, as you know, that geography is a versatile subject. You have from the जिसको बोलते हैं तपस्या बोलते हैं, आप लोग करते आए हैं शुरू से आपके लाइफ से. So it will be much now geography subject, the contemporary aspects are also included, and the concept has changed continuously. And in that sense, what I feel that there should be a discussions and there should be some idea exchange about the contemporary change, about the changes, about the phases we go through, which are going through this subject, and what should be the included point in our coming geography syllabus as well. And in this regard, we have started this journey through this lecture series, and today is the 5th lecture series of from January we have started. And I feel very proud to say that this lecture series is so much popular because we have recorded it, we have circulated through all our social media platforms, and people have enjoyed it, people have learned from that social media platform. Those who will not be able to join through this podium, but also they can able to know about through our YouTube platforms too. So I will also request to all of you, it's not just a lecture series, it's a recorded lecture series, which it's an archive. You may consider it as an archive, that these people, maybe you, me, and all of us will not be there in some time, but our versions, our speech, our voice, our thinking will be there. And SAIARD is trying to give the opportunity to provide this kind of this kind of archive as that some kind of renowned personalities, those who have served the subject from the very beginning of their life, they will circulate their they will share their knowledge to us. They will impart their knowledge us, and this is our responsibility to circulate their voice, to circulate their thoughts to the in front of the world. And that is the reason for which this lecture series we have conducted since the last 5 years, and even from the very beginning of SAIARD, as you know, those who are associated with us, we are continuously doing that kind of initiative, that is the intellectual discussions. And sir, you will be happy to know that right now SARC is also showing their interest to associate with us, and they would like to include SAIARD as their an important intellectual part of SARC committee. And they have included me in their research advisory committee too. Hopefully in future we can also share our exchange, we can generate some platform through which we can share this kind of knowledge, this kind of idea exchange program throughout the SARC nations as well. So in this regard, I will no longer extend my voice. Also, I'm eager to know, or I'm eager to hear from all of you. And with this, once again, I congratulate, I thanks to all of you for joining with us once again. And thanks to my all esteemed colleagues and the different professors, those who have joined, and participants, those who have joined from other countries too, for this platform. Thank you, Sudeep. Over to you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir, for your keynote address. So, proceeding further, now I would like to invite our first honorable distinguished speaker, Professor Salahuddin Qureshi, the retired professor of Department of Geography, Aligarh Muslim University. Sir was born at Aligarh in 1949 and has graduated and postgraduated from Aligarh Muslim University. He also completed his doctoral research at the Aligarh Muslim University. Professor Salahuddin Qureshi has a teaching and research experience of over 40 years at the university level. He joined Bombay University in March 1972 and taught various geography papers up to August 1982. In continuity, he joined Aligarh Muslim University and is serving at the university ever since. He has special research interest in the field of global warming and the arid zone environment. His published works are centered on the problem of the Indian agriculture and the socio-economic disparity. He has identified the geopolitics of the globalization as a major cause of the yawning inequality in the developing country, with the emphasis on the India's growing regional imbalances. Sir has organized a number of the conferences and refresher courses in geography for the college and the young university teachers. He is a member of the International Geographical Union Commission on Desertification. He is a life member of the National Association of Geographers India and has been its vice president. He is a member of UGC's Project Evaluation Committee also. He has keen interest in the school education and has served as a manager and coordinator of various university maintained schools. So it's been immense pleasure to welcome you, sir. Now it's over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, the organizers of this very crucial and important lecture series. May I ask, is it audible on my part? Okay, thank you, please. Yes. Let me say, respected Mehtab Singh Saab, Dr. Bishwajit Saab, and other distinguished scholars, particularly the young scholars for whom perhaps in their interest I thought to share some of my rudimentary and fragmentary ideas on a particular theme which relates to the contemporary research perspectives in geography, a critical appraisal. This particular topic, as you can see on the screen for a while, it's contemporary research perspectives in geography, a critical appraisal. And a critical appraisal, I thought that with my long service to geography and longer than that, The learning of geography from my senior and esteemed colleagues.
Sorry for disturbing, sir. You are not audible, sir. Sir, can you hear me, sir? You
Yeah,
are not audible. Yes, sir.
yeah. You are quite audible, and there was some technical hiccup, a brief one, which we are correcting, and then hopefully we would continue it uninterrupted. Uh, so the point that I would like to share with the young geographers in particular is that let me begin with a confession that my statements may not be holistic or all pervading in the geographical context of the entire country. I have meager knowledge, I have limited knowledge, I have a knowledge of some places of geographical inquiry in the country, and on that basis, I am saying this particular uh, statement. Now, the line of argument in the the line of argument in this context is that several contemporary geographical researchers are not adequately addressing the geographical theory. And this is perhaps, I believe, that this is perhaps one of the major reasons that geographical researches are not drawing the attention of the other eminent scholars in the planning department or in the sister disciplines about the nature, spirit, and purpose of geography. So, uh, I could say that in the contemporary geographical scenario, many of us, barring a meager few in each department of study, are perhaps not inspiring the young researchers on the basic concepts and its essential theory. Many of us are not, in fact, transplanting firmly the roots of the basic concepts of geography and also its essential theory. So, what is the result? The contemporary laborious researches with enormous data depiction may not convincingly conclude their work on geographical theory. And that is why our subject and our contents, as it is said, this renders geography long and cumbersome on text and short on theory. We can say that this is the position of our approach towards geography or our involvement and our service to the discipline of geography, which is one of the most ancient disciplines of inquiry. And if you allow me to say that if Adam and Eve were ever dispelled from the heavens to the surface of the earth, the heavens, the paradise, which was a land of surplus resource availability, to the surface of the earth, a place of scarcity of resources, the first question that the Eve might have asked out of curiosity to Adam was that where are we? And when Eve asked, where are we? It was the beginning of geography. So the genealogy of geography, or the genesis of geography, is as old as Adam and Eve. Now, the thing is that one more point I would like to share with you in this context is that the beginning of geography perhaps does not lie with Adam. In fact, it lies with Eve. So, Eve is the originator of the word, where are we, which is very closely pertaining to the geographical subject matter on the surface of the earth. Now, the thing is, as we in geography are perhaps falling a bit short sometimes of taking up the basic concepts as essential geographical theory in our researches, the outcome is that many other sister disciplines in social sciences, particularly economics, sociology, and history, have much higher weightage in planning departments of the country. And they have much higher weightage in the planning departments of the country, with less than half of the research conferences as compared to the discipline of geography. So, where lies the point? The contemporary problems of geographical description and interpretation close to the geographical context and its theory lies in the fact that many of the board of studies in our universities are casually approving the geographical research topics, and what they are doing generally is that the research topics are either being approved on the hometown or the oft repeated researches on the university city itself. As a result of it, are and the problem and the issue is that the geographical researches are not adequately and considerably addressing the geographical theory and issue-based researches. Because when we are researches, it has been found that much of the literature and the subject matter is already available in the municipalities. And the issue-based research is perhaps lagging behind in the geographical domain. So the thing is that there is another issue regarding to the explanations in geographical researches. There is often found an inadequacy of causal and coherent explanations in geographical researches. And they are, for example, a deterministic explanation in India perhaps emphasizes upon, like, the soil is poor, the production is low. But I, as a possibilist, believe that the fact of the matter is the soil is poorly managed, hence the production is low. The genesis of this deterministic approach in geography in our country lies in the fact that there is another example I may share with you, is that some of our illustrious and influential seniors and teachers who had done their doctoral research from London School of Economics under the supervision of Sir Dudley Lawrence Stamp brought home the easy deterministic explanations of Victorian perspective, which upheld the view that, and what was the Victorian or Anglo-American deterministic view, which the yesteryear geographers, the respectable yesteryear geographers, uh, started harnessing in our country. The view was that what was the explanation, the geographical explanation of the colonial masters or colonial rulers was that because the tropical colonial countries have hot and humid enervative climates, the physically exhausted people are lazy and lethargic, which was a major cause of their economic backwardness. This was Ellsworth Huntington's climatic determinism. But on the contrary, it was the lack of, and I argue that this is not the fact of the matter. I'll submit before you further arguments in support of my statement that on the contrary, it was the lack of industrial commercial incentives and the suppression of indigenous industries, which was the cause of entrepreneurial collapse in the colonies rather than the climate. So, commercial industrial incentives were taken away and the blame went on the climate. This can further be validated by the fact that the same people of tropical Baghdad and tropical India were considerably dynamic and enterprising during the medieval period and even earlier. So it means that this particular deterministic point of view was only a sort of eyewash to make people psychologically subjugated that, well, it is our destiny, it is our climate which we have to live with, and because our climate is not energetic, it is enervative, and that is why we have to suffer and we have to be subjugated. This was the kind of theory which was propagated against the truth. Against the truth, I may repeat. And moreover, Europe of cool and temperate energetic climate. Here I would like to submit to your kind consideration this particular fact. The same Europe which had cool and temperate and energetic climate was reeling under dark ages for more than 500 years during the contemporary medieval period. And now in the post-independent India, now look here, I will give another important argument that in the post-independent India, despite some innovative, despite the same innovative climate, the industrial commercial incentives have improved the entire national scenario into a force of geopolitical resilience. There is another example I would like to submit to you is pertaining to the contemporary issues in geographical researches, that the same argument can further be extended on the notion that the Muslim poverty renders them a dependent burden on the nation. The ground truth is contrary to the widespread disbelief even among the Muslim intellectuals. For example, the vast Muslim labor, unskilled and skilled, is in fact a surplus resource generating weaker section, surplus resource generating weaker section. Their per capita national resource generation far exceeds the meager per capita land, water, and air resource availability in their ghettos. Likewise, there is another argument that the most marginal rag pickers of them are no less than the municipal health workers. Similarly, the domestic waste collectors from our houses of iron, glass, and plastics from door to door are our household cleaners of waste, and they make space for the more useful and more recent articles to be accommodated in our houses, and the old and obsolete and dilapidated are being taken away by them. They are the crucial intermediaries of waste management and waste recycling industries. So, the point I want to submit to your kind consideration is that our laborious young research scholars are putting lots of effort into their researches with enormous data collection, but perhaps they are not adequately justifying in their subject matter the geography or the geographical concepts as such. Now, here in this context, I would like to share with you some of the uh, contemporary research perspectives. The first one I would like to share with you, as you can see on the screen, urban climate change and global warming issues. I have deliberately used the word urban climate change prior to the word global warming because I may share with you that when we talk of global warming, we are only raising a thermal issue, a temperature issue. But when we talk of urban climate change, and when we use the word climate, it means we are taking almost all the important variables and factors of climate. For example, in the climate change inquiries, we take up temperature changes, rainfall changes, wind velocity changes, humidity changes, and so on. And therefore, urban climate change is a major issue of geographical inquiry. And what is the justification? The justification is that, don't we agree, that we are the inhabitants of an urban planet. We are the inhabitants of an urban planet. And with reference to India, our own country, by 2021, it has been estimated that the total urban population of India has increased to 35% of the total geographical of the total population of India. This I tend to contest because when urban population is being recorded, it is the population which is living within the boundary areas of the urban habitat or municipal boundaries or corporation boundaries. But there is a sizable population which is living just adjacent and outside these urban boundaries, and they are not acknowledged as urban, even though most of their daily routine functions are urban in nature. Hence, urban climate change, the issues pertaining to urban climate change are extremely relevant as the environmental research perspectives. Climate change, health and well-being, we can see that the climate change is taking the climate change, weather extremities, and uncertainties are taking a heavy toll on the health of the people. And I may like to share here with you further that today climate change may not appear to have taken much heavier toll on the on the lives of the people, that means mortality impact is not as high as the morbidity impact of climate change. Mortality is mara and morbidity is adhamara. So the climate change has a much greater impact on the morbidity rather than mortality. Some other very pertaining uh, contemporary research perspectives I would like to share: desertification and biological production potential. This is a topic of a closer interest to me, in the sense that my great illustrious teacher, Professor Ejazuddin Ahmad Saab, Swargiya Professor Ejazuddin Ahmad Saab, he did his PhD on the human geography of the Indian desert under the supervision of Sayyid Muzaffar Ali Saab, Professor Muzaffar Ali Saab, the Great. And then I too got inspired that the I too got inspired that I should also take up the research on the Indian desert, and therefore I took up regional a desert on the regional analysis of dryland agriculture in western Rajasthan, uh, generally coterminous to the Indian desert. Now, another important point I like to say, my first PhD scholar, Professor A.R. Siddiqui, he also did his research on the issues pertaining to desertification. And last, and also important to say, is that uh, the one of my daughters also did a PhD in the uh, problem of desertification at village level of the villages which are adjacent to the international border of India and Pakistan. So desertification and biological production potential reduction are very important environmental issues which need even wider attention of the young scholars to take up with. Aquatic ecosystems and wetland management. We often read in literature of the major cities of India, like Bangalore, like Hyderabad, that these were the cities where there were uh, many more wetlands than the meager number of them existing today. Urban encroachment upon them has, and these urban wetlands, I mean the urban and the adjoining wetlands, they play a very crucial role in moderating and modifying to whatever little extent the climatic conditions of the cities. So aquatic ecosystems and wetland management is another important issue. And needless to emphasize upon the natural hazards and disaster management. The, the issues pertaining to the global warming. Global warming means the Mother Earth has been so much overused and even misused that uh, the Mother Earth can also raise an eyebrow, warming, yani gussa, and that is some important uh, issue pertaining to it. These natural hazards, for example, the hazards related to the climate, the hazards originating in the warming oceans when the sea surface temperatures rise above 27 degrees centigrade threshold level, then the cyclones tend to brew up in the oceans, and therefore cyclones are one related problem. Heat waves, you already know that after a very brief respite of 2 years in the period of COVID-19, 22 temperatures have surpassed all previous records. It has been said that 2016 was the hottest year so far. Globally, the hottest year so far was 2016. And let this year conclude, God forbid, and I may be proven wrong, that perhaps 2022 may be, God forbid, may be the hottest year, the hottest summer of the earth, particularly the tropical world, particularly South Asia. South Asia is reeling under heat waves. And what climatic fluctuations are there? The winters are becoming severe on the one hand, the summers are becoming extreme and longer on the other hand. As a result of it, what is happening that the uh, sustainability of the people is, the hydrological cycle is also getting influenced by these conditions. So the thing is that environmental issues play a crucial role in the contemporary geographical researches. We need to lay more emphasis on them. Another important contemporary research perspective is demographic research perspective. You know that centralized economies and migration under globalization. Look here, which world is facing the most, which region of the world is facing the most rapid migration? It is South Asia. So the problem is so crucial to South Asia. And this particular region of South Asia, including China, India, Indochina, and the adjacent region, two-thirds of, nearly two-thirds of the world population lives in this region. So, and these are the economies of South Asia are rapid, fast growing economies. Why are they fast growing economies? Because they are opting for and inviting for and lunging for heavy and rapid globalization. Now, the multinational corporations of globalization, they will not go to our remote interior areas where factors of production already do not exist. They will go to the places where the factors of production are, are available in large quantity to their own market advantages. And this is further invigorating these centralized tendencies. So there was one age, the colonial period, which was the period of centralization of economies. And this is the second phase. Globalization is another age, another period, another phase where the economies of the developing countries tend to become highly centralized. highly centralized in the sense that let me share with you that India, a country of nearly 10,000 urban centers, nearly 10,000 urban centers. Out of these 10,000 urban centers, which have nearly 500 million urban population. 500 million, you as a student of geography are familiar with this word, the land of 500 million. When I was doing my post-graduation and I was studying the book by Qureshi, the land of, that was China, the land of 500 million. China was the land of 500 million prior to 1970. And today we have nearly equal number, 500 million urban population. And further, I would like to submit the important basic issue is that out of 10,000 urban centers, only 10 major cities of India, only 10 major cities of India have over 20% of the urban population of India. These are Mumbai, Delhi. Delhi is growing faster than Mumbai even. Then Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Pune, Surat, Jaipur. These are the places where these indicate that the centralized tendencies are brewing up and are growing in our countries. And because of it, there is rural exodus. There is heavy migration towards the cities for the labor. Because even today, mostly we are the labor intensive urban economies, labor intensive. And another important point I would like to share with you with regard to the urban factor is that if we say little over 80 metropolitan cities of India, more than million cities, more than million cities. Today we have more than 80 number of them. What is their share of the entire Indian economy? What is their share of the entire Indian economy? You know what is their share? I will not speak in terms of percentage. I will speak in terms of might. And what is that might? Lion's share. India's economy largely dwells in the major metropolitan and mega cities of India. Then the issues pertaining to urban demography and rapid migration. Rapid migration is causing the new issues of urban demography. Generally, we see, and this is the ground, this is a geographical ground truth. This is a geographical ground truth. Larger is the city size, lower is the natural population growth rate. But larger and greater is the migrant population growth, because the economy is there, the infrastructure is there, the economy is there, the opportunity is there, and that is why it is so happening. And as a result of it, what is happening? When there is such a rapid rural urban migration, there is ruralization of Indian cities under heavy migration. Many of our large cities. And if we see the crowd scenario, sometimes we see the the population masses for one reason or another gathering in any particular locality. And if you see and study those photographs and compare them with another place, like the similar photographs taken in Thailand's capital city, you'll find world of a difference. You'll find there the large masses do not carry with them the rural texture as many of the cities of our own country may have such a large rural looking face. Some other important demographic research perspectives are the fertility rates and demographic stability. It is a fact of the matter, and we have considerably succeeded in lowering down the fertility rates and bringing demographic stability. Demographic stability has occurred in some of the states of India, like Goa, like Himachal Pradesh. Now, the other important related issue is population growth, replacement levels, and demographic sustainability. So when the population growth reaches, or in fact, when the population growth reduces, when the population growth rate reduces to the replacement level, then it brings about the demographic sustainability. And demographic sustainability is a prerequisite of the socio-economic sustainability. Then there is one important demographic issue which is largely missing from our studies, is the issues of zero population growth. Zero population growth, we generally suppose that by the year 2060, by the year 2060, are many of the youngsters sitting here would be and they would be witness to the 2060, when they will see that the world population, global population, will come to a zero population growth rate, and perhaps there would be further issues pertaining to it. Then the other I have tried to place before you contemporary social research perspectives, like social structure, longevity, and quality of life. All the three of them are integral and deeply interrelated. These are the issues which we are not as much taking care of. Family size, education, employment, and income is another important issue. Yes, gender justice. Just before I was talking to the fertility rates, there has been considerable reduction in the fertility rate of India, which is so good to the women and women empowerment. So, and so good to gender justice. So, gender justice is an important issue. Gender justice, women employment, and empowerment, they are very important issues of researchers. The major problem still remains, despite the government policies to provide the female employment opportunities. The female employment opportunities accepted at the academic level and other political administrative levels are not really adequate. Women are 50% in our classes, in our postgraduate classes. There are almost equal number of girls sitting there. So the point I would like to raise here is that why the number of appointments made in a particular department of studies should not be as good to women as to their male counterparts. I am happy to say, because who has brought out this concept of women empowerment? Who has raised this issue of women empowerment? Who is championing the cause of women empowerment, the 50% of humanity? Who is doing it? And look here, all of us should be happy to note and say that it is men. It is men who wants the women to be empowered for the mutual survival and sustainability of humanity from global level to local level to household level. So then another one is social deprivation, inequalities, and labor productivity. We know that wherever there are social deprivations, there are inequalities in the longevity, and it undermines the labor productivity. Don't we know that morbidity undermines the labor productivity? When Europe entered into its renaissance, what did they do? Their industries, their major industrial houses took special care of their primary producers. Labor is the primary producers, and the industries, particularly the private industrial houses, are not taking care of the health of the labor and other related issues pertaining to the labor health. And this is a major cause of economic, perhaps stagnation in the economic performance. Then, yes, globalization is a major issue. Globalization generally leads to regional imbalances, and regional imbalances lead to social inequalities. There is a close causal relationship between regionalization, between globalization as a cause. Regional imbalances. Globalization, it occurred to me, is an antithesis of regional cooperation amongst the countries. Why is it so that the countries of South Asia, why it is so that the countries of South Asia, despite large potentials, are not socio-economically cooperating with each other? And it is largely because the forces of globalization will not let us do that easily. And the other important issue pertaining to is urbanization and problems of smart cities. Urbanization in India is so rapid and rampant. I may be excused for using the later word. Urbanization is so rapid that it keeps on undermining the efforts of smart cities making. And another important research issue is rural-urban linkages and peri-urban migration. In our country, rural-urban migration have made a good headway in regional equilibrium, city and the city region. So the rural-urban linkages play a very crucial role. But at the same time, when opportunities are not available in the rural areas to that extent, then the rural-urban linkages play their counterproductive role also when there is large peri-urban migration. Peri-urban migration is greater in the inner fringe from the inner fringe areas as compared to the outer fringe areas. Urban metropolization and commuting problems. When our urban centers are becoming large, India, our country, a land of now 1.4 billion population, a land of 1.4 billion population has only just 80 million plus cities, and therefore economy is concentrated in them, which is causing hazardous problems of commuting. Large cities, another important urban issue is large cities and groundwater levels. We all know that large cities have built up surfaces. The surfaces of concrete and asphalt are the runoff surfaces. They are not absorption surfaces, they are runoff surfaces. And therefore, the groundwater levels beneath the cities are fast depleting and fast lowering down. These are important issues pertaining to the future sustainability of the large cities in terms of basic requirement of water. Large cities and regular urban inundations in the wake of climate change and extreme rainfall events. You see, many large cities which are expanding towards the low-lying areas even, there is a problem of regular inundations. Regular inundations in the sense that even a rainfall of only 20 millimeters may cause a problem of urban inundation. Cosmopolitan cities, yes, this is one important issue of our urban spaces. Cosmopolitan cities and postmodern space. Postmodern space ought to be cosmopolitan in nature, and therefore in the postmodern age, for the sake of postmodern space of coexistence, everybody has to respect and mutually uh, uh, have a tolerance for cosmopolitan nature, because cosmopolitan nature plays a very important role. Uh, I would come to this a little later. Contemporary sustainable development research perspectives. Socio-cultural, here lies the point. Socio-cultural diversity and sustainable development. Socio-cultural diversity. Today, as the organizers have reminded, and every one of knows, that today is the Biodiversity Day. Could I suggest on this platform that why shouldn't we have the Socio-Cultural Diversity Day? The Socio-Cultural Diversity Day of our mutual coexistence to let ourselves flourish and live in mutual peace and harmony. Socio-cultural diversity of spaces, modernization, modern spaces everywhere. And it is irresistible. Please take it down. It is socio-cultural diversity at global level, at regional level, at any level is irresistible. Nobody can stop it because we are living in an irresistible age of globalization, and therefore socio-cultural diversity leads to sustainable development. Sustainable development issues are also related to restrained lifestyles and sustainable development. What does it mean? Restrained lifestyles, I'm just coming to a conclusion, please. I'll not take more than 5 minutes. Restrained lifestyles, what does it mean? Restrained lifestyle means that we have to live with a smaller carbon footprint than we are living with. You know, the slogan of development is material possession. The slogan or understanding of development is material consumerism. These are all the hallmarks of the capitalism, consumerism, and sustainable development. So sustainable development has also to be looked into in the perspective of growing consumerism under the aegis of capitalism with the help of glittering and glamorous commercial advertisements like that. Buy one and get one free. And these sort of advertisements are allowed in the scarcity economies where a large population is utterly deprived of basic requirements, basic necessities of life. Buy one, get one free. I would like my youngsters to ponder it. Nothing is free in this world. Nothing is free in this world. There is an invisible cost. There is a hidden cost of buying one on the pretext of getting one free. Buying one on the pretext of getting one free. This is consumerism. Now, another important aspect is issues pertaining to surplus food production, marketing forces, and food insecurities. Most of the countries of the developing world, particularly we shall focus on our own country and the issues and problems of our own country. Our country is surplus food grain producer since 1970. Food grain self-sufficiency for the first time was attained in 1971, perhaps. Despite surplus food production in our country, there are marketing forces. There are marketing forces, the marketing forces of inflation, which undermine the food security and lead to the food insecurity of the downtrodden, the poor, and the poverty stricken. The primary producers. Can we live without the primary producers? Can we live and sustain and survive without taking care of our primary producers who are living their lives in food insecurities? The basic thing. Then geopolitical strategies and sustainability of the nation. This is a major issue that geographers have to take care of. The major geopolitical powers want to raise every nook and corner of the globe into strategically a geopolitical burning flashpoint. And that is where there is an issue of the sustainability of nations themselves, national planning and sustainable development. national planning and sustainable development goals. We have to, I mean, the governments, I would not like to be critical about it. Most of the governments in the developing countries, particularly our own country, the national planning is taking care of sustainable development goals for the social sustainability as well. Thank you, please. And please excuse me for overdrawing my time. Thank you so much, please.
Thank you so much, sir, for this energizing and also very important lectures. Particularly, it will definitely help to think us about the contemporary changes and what we should follow in future and what should be our modalities and what should be our line of actions on the basis of which the geographers, the upcoming geographers can also think about it. And sir, I one question I have, as you have served a long time in the in your career as a professor in university or college like that. So, what are the recent points I think, according to you, we should include in the coming days? As you know that right now there are several important topics, several important wings have opened in our subject, and also several another dimensions we can discover through this platform. Technological aspect is also an important part.
Okay. You see, yes. Dr. Biswajit, I have not dwelt upon any particular place of geographical learning. But since I had the opportunity of attending many geographical conferences in my career, and even today, like your own platform, I am there before you. Almost all the Nagi conferences I have attended, and I have heard the youngsters with rapt attention, and therefore the issues which I like to deposit in my mind and carry forward to other platforms is pertaining to that uh, widespread uh, experience of listening the youngsters, issues and problems pertaining to the youngsters. In fact, uh, we have not succeeded so much in grooming our progeny for the successful service of the subject. That is my lamentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Over to you, Sudhir, and thank you, our audience also. I think they have raised some points.
Yes, please. Yes,
On
yes,
the
please.
Sir, can I coordinate, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for your presence here. It's our immense pleasure, and we are extremely privileged again that, sir, you have been joined with us here. You have shown us a lot of informative things like contemporary demographic issues, geopolitical resilience, as well as demographical perspective. So, which will be directly benefited for our participants. So, it's now a question and answer session. The dear participant, if you have any query, just directly ask yourself. So at first we start from Mr. Ms. Ankita Singh. Sir, he says or he wants to know in which stage of population growth in India, and in this type of population growth in India, which type of problem can be coming future?
Look here, the population problem of our country has rural-urban divide, number one, regional divide, number two. For example, the desert state of Rajasthan, which today happens to be the largest state in geographical area in our country, particularly in western Rajasthan, the population is not as large, and the area of operation for family planning and healthcare services is very large. So the healthcare services and family planning services have to commute long distances to reach the remote areas, which they often uh, fail to take care of. as a result of it, the population growth rate is higher. Some of the, I'm not very current about this particular statement I'm issuing before you, but it is not prior to 2011 that some of the fastest population growing of districts of India were from Western Rajasthan, the districts of like Bikaner, and blessings to the oil and natural gas findings in Barmer. These are the places which I may be allowed to say, these are the places which are my ghar angan. And I have seen Barmer has transformed enormously when I visited there after some period of time. And so the development comes. Development is a double-edged sword. It brings both solutions as well as new problems. Yes, please.
Sir, one more question. There is any country at this time which is zero population growth?
Yeah, any country where there is
which is in zero population growth?
There are several countries. There are, and to my dismay, what I call is in the demographic transition, we study 4 stages of demographic transition. Some of these Scandinavian countries have unfortunately entered into the 5th stage of demographic transition, which is the stage of population reduction. Population reduction and increased dependency. So the minus positive growth of population is a major challenge in the long run perspective. For example, our own neighbor China had one child population policy. Now China has punished many people. China had punished many people who were transgressing one child population policy. And now the same country is easing out, because zero population growth means stagnation of population and increasing the senile population over the, I mean, in the very, very long run, but increasing the senile dependency. Zero population growth, to my mind, will bring about a new problem of increasing senile dependency. Thank you, please. I must be very brief because I know that I'm not doing good, and I'm not doing anything appreciable to my another very important colleague who is there and whom I'm also eager to listen about. Thank you, please.
Sir, please, one more question. Sir, in which branch of geography is to do best research?
Oh, I would not like to be restrictive. No.
Okay,
No,
sir. Okay.
I would not like, because look here, the thing is, we are living in the age of Anthropocene. So the social geographical researches are the hallmark. We are living in the age of Human Development Index. And when we measure the Human Development Index, the major variables of the Human Development Index are social indicators rather than economic indicators. So I can partially say, but I would not be partial to any branch of geography by saying that this branch is better than the other one. If you put in your work, almost every branch of geography is fertile and sufficiently fertile. ज्योग्राफिया के बारे में एक पंक्ति आपकी खिदमत में अर्ज करूं। ज्योग्राफिया क्या सब्जेक्ट है, ज्योग्राफी क्या सब्जेक्ट है, उसके बारे में एक पंक्ति अर्ज करना चाहता हूं कि ज्योग्राफी सब्जेक्ट भी कमाल का है। जरा नम हो तो ये मिट्टी बड़ी जरखेज है साकी। ज्योग्राफिया बहुत जरखेज है, ज्योग्राफिया बहुत उपजाऊ है, और ज्योग्राफिया की जितनी भी शाखें हैं वो सब बहुत बहुत अधिक उपजाऊ हैं। थैंक यू, प्लीज।
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
thank
sir.
you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. So proceeding further, now I would like to invite our honorable distinguished speaker, Dr. Mahita Brana Singh, Professor, Department of Geography, Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak, Haryana. Sir was doctorate from University of Delhi. Dr. Singh was also got training in the field of remote sensing and GIS from prestigious Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, IIRS, Dehradun, India. His area of research includes spatial data analysis for environmental issues, resource planning and management. Presently, he is active in research on sustainable villages and cities. Dr. Singh has to be his credit 4 books, out of which 3 are published by the Springer and CRC Press Taylor and Frankie's book. He has
Please unmute. Please unmute.
Sudeep ji, you are muted. Kindly unmute yourself, please.
Oh, sorry. So, proceeding further, now I would like to invite our honorable distinguished speaker, Dr. Mahita Brana Singh, Professor, Department of Geography, Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak, Haryana. There was doctorate from University of Delhi. Dr. Singh was also get training in the field of remote sensing and GI from prestigious Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, IIRS, Dehradun, India. His area of research includes spatial data analysis for an environmental issue, resource planning, and management. Presently, he is active in research on sustainable villages and cities. Dr. Singh has to be his credit 4 books, out of which 3 are published by the Springer and CRC Press Taylor and Francis Group. He has to be his credit over 30 research papers published in the national and international journal of the reputed books. And also beside this, he contributed in Encyclopedia of Haryana, a government of Haryana publication. He has also organized a many capacity building training programs in geospatial technology. He was also the principal investigator in the Department of Science and Technology New Delhi project on development of the framework for networking program on village information system. He is an accomplished speaker and delivers keynotes in the various national and international conferences held in India and abroad. Dr. Singh is also the member of the various committee of the UGC, Central and State University. So before making any delay, welcome you, sir. It's over to you, sir.
So, good afternoon to all. Thank you very much, SAIARD, for providing me this opportunity. And before launching myself on this platform, I should share one thing, that some people are good researcher, some people are good teacher, some people are good human being, some people are very good orator. And after listening to Professor Salahuddin sir, I can say that he has everything in him. He's a good orator, good researcher, good human being. So first of all, respected Professor Salahuddin sir, namaskar. Secondly, Dr. Biswajit Roy, never met you, I think, in person, but yes, we both share a platform, Facebook, From there, I can see the contribution that you are making in the subject, geography, and particularly in the recently adopted geospatial technology in our subject. So I congratulate you as well. And the opportunity provided to me to share my views. And at the same time, I can say that I'm not a good orator or good researcher, and I don't know how a good human being am I. But what can I presume myself that I'm a hard worker? I'm working hardly in the subject. I don't know.
And-
You people are the
and
best judge.
and humble as well, sir, and humble as well.
Thank you very much, sir. So I listened every bit of your presentation this morning very keenly, and you spoke about the status of our subject, the kind of research we are doing, the kind of studies we are providing to the students and the scholars. And sir, I definitely share the views expressed by you about the status of geography and the status of research in geography in our universities. You have rightly pointed out that researchers nowadays, or maybe earlier also, they were using the study area of their research quite near to their place, maybe their hometown. And many of these studies, you may have come across during your 40 years of service in this subject. So your observation is quietly apt, and I express the same views. Based on my academic journey in the subject of geography, which lasts over 30 to 35 years by now, including my college days, where I studied geography, our subject has not get as much attention in decision making in our country as it would have. Exceptions are there. Professor Munish Raza was in the planning commission, and there are not many names there you can recall where we people, contributed in decision making. So this is like, I can say not a good thing to share with, but this is the hard truth. You attended all the conferences, sir, and you must have attended the conference, Nagi conference, 2004, which was held in our university. And you must be present in the plenary session,
Yes.
where Professor Anu Kapoor from Delhi School of Economics, she rightly pointed out the status of our subject, which was, I think, very well deliberated upon by all the researchers, including you. I was present in the seminar hall, and though I could not participate because I was too young at the time, but yes. So I again recall that, from your lecture that it was there, people were very skeptical and very concerned about the status of our subject, and particularly the research which is going on in the subject of geography. And the status of our subject, as far as among all the subjects of social sciences, is not as good. Other subjects you mentioned, sociology, psychology, or other subjects like, they have contributed a lot for the subject, for their subject. And we all accept that many of the theories and models we borrowed from these subjects, be it Ullmann's model, center place theory, Mackinder's theory, or like, agriculture, von Thunen's theory. None of the theories belongs to our subject. So I have the same expressions which you shared on this platform today, and at the same time, I'm sharing my views with the young ones like Dr. Vishwajit Roy and other listeners on this platform which are there, that there is a need to look into all these aspects, the concerns which are felt by you, And I hope that the young geographers, I can hope and optimistic about that they will take the lead from your lecture, and certainly our subject will be among all subjects, at a good ladder, I can say, if not among the best or not at the top. Amidst all this, chaos, I can call it a chaos in our subject, I entered into the higher education in the early 90s or late up to late 90s, I can say. When geographic landscape was not changing as much, or I can say it was changing at snail's speed. Although we call our subject a dynamic subject, it is very dynamic in nature, but the output was not as dynamic as what we were looking for. So here come the 21st century. I'm talking about my journey in the subject. And we entered into the 21st century with some powerful technologies, which has their genesis in late 1960s. Yes, here I'm talking about geospatial technology. A boost came from nanotechnology. I'm so sorry. And this technology, you call it GIS or geospatial technology or geoinformatics, if you put together all these, it brought a lease of life to our subject. And thereafter, the subject has been given some weightage. Some funding agencies like DST and UGC, they were also good enough to provide funds to start with some research using these tools. And syllabi were also being changed accordingly, so that the students, the researchers, they not only adopt this technology, but also get skill out of it. Because skill is very much important, and our subject was lacking in this area. So I can say that the GIS or the geospatial technology is coming as a boon to our subject, And my topic of discussion, I can say, the knowledge, the small knowledge or whatever I have knowledge gained during these periods, I want to share with you. My topic is obvious that I am working in this area for more than a decade now. So whatever the changes I have seen, particularly not only in the subject, but also in GIS, because GIS is also getting very dynamic in nature. So over the years, I have come across the changes in GIS. When I went to IRS Dehradun, it was the time 2007, and it was the time when softwares they were entering into. I don't deny that there were not softwares there. Grass was there, Elvis was there, a couple of softwares were there before, but not as much as what we have nowadays. Now it's full of our geospatial technologies, full of many softwares. They are even nowadays we have many open source softwares. So I want to share a slide here. I want to share my screen and my topic. Can you please allow me to share? Sudeep Roy.
Sir, first open your PPT on the
Please
desktop.
allow me to share the screen.
Sir, it's already allowed.
Already allowed.
Yes, yes. It's open for all. And you please first on your PPT on the desktop, and after that,
It is on the desktop.
okay. So now you go to the present now mode in the below keywords. देखिए एक बॉक्स के अंदर एक arrow
Okay.
है.
Now I got it.
Okay.
Got it.
सर आपकी स्क्रीन देख रहे हैं, आप पीपीटी में
Visible?
नो आपका
Yes.
स्क्रीन देख रहे हैं, तो आप पीपीटी में हाँ अभी पीपीटी ऑन कीजिए.
Okay.
यस फाइन. एनलार्ज कर दीजिए सर इसको. राइट सर, हाँ थैंक यू.
Yeah. So my topic of today's deliberation is the changing nature of GIS, where I'm talking about the changes within GIS, are taking place very fast. I already spoke about the technology which is facilitating, structuring, and propelling development in present day. And as far as the functioning of the technology is there, it has found as a core change agent in our subject and in cartography as well, and in GIS science, GI science. As you all know that there is explosion of fused spatio-temporal data nowadays, which is transforming the way in which data is collected, mapped, modeled, and used, and which has been leading to research, new research incentives in our subject. So I'm talking about, couple of things which are, you can see over here on this slide. I'm talking about the changes in the hardware which has been taking place in recent years, about the data sources, about the operating softwares, about the usage trends, and some of the applications, not those applications, but the applications which I personally have done research on. So as far as the first point is concerned, hardware, you all agree with me that in geography we used to have a plane table survey, chain and tape survey to start with, theodolite, and then entered this modern technology along with the devices. In present day context, I can say that the technology of the GIS has reached to such an level where we are using 3D layer scanning. It is doing wonders. It is the wonder of the modern technology, you can say, which is impacting our future. Nowadays, we are talking about, and Professor Salahuddin also talked about, the smart cities, smart villages. So this cannot be done without using smart technology or smart planning. So here we have these devices, and the support is provided by GNSS, Global Navigation Satellite System, which are now integral part of GIS, where we can have coordinates of important features on which we can, make analysis by using those coordinate points. The second important change is what I can feel during this short span, that geoprocessing, in the field of geoprocessing. High performing computing networks, which include cyber GIS and which includes cloud GIS, they provide a quick access and contribute to growing repository of geospatial data, tools and services. Here you can see the computer era started in late 70s, and you can see the changes over the period of time. And the hardware has changed a lot. We are also witnessing the changes in it from a very big personal computer. Nowadays, we are in laptop or iPad, or you can have the mobile also device, very small one also in the shape and size. But it is very effective in providing solutions. So what applications of GIS will take advantage of higher speed? Here we can have the large data sets, higher level of spatial resolutions we can have nowadays. With the help of complex models, we can analyze, we can provide decision making in many areas of interest. As far as memory is concerned, we all know that nowadays we are getting bigger and bigger in size as far as the space is concerned in our PCs, in our laptops. And at the same time, there is a trend which is going towards lower cost for ever larger computer memories. As far as GIS data revolution through World Wide Web is concerned, most of the public domain data, most of the sharewares, freewares, large proportion of commercial produced GIS data, nowadays they are available on www. Earlier, in our whenever we were doing research at university level, we used to have tapes, diskettes, etc., which do not have much space to contain larger data. So these are the kind of revolutions which are taking place in GIS sector itself, which are revolutionizing the research aspects in our subject as well. Another aspect which I wish to share with you is the parallel processing. Parallel processing here means earlier we used to have single processors operating on the data in a sequence only. Nowadays, we have the facilities of parallel processors which can perform tasks on several different processors simultaneously to make our analysis accurate one as well as without wasting much time. What GIS processes will be suitable for parallel processing? There you can say analysis which require repeating the same steps everywhere on the map, which are easier to see applications for raster data than for the vector data, since in raster, each pixel is independent in itself. So it is also helping us a lot. Some of the examples which I can cite over here, that the finding route for a vehicle across a rugged terrain. Another example I can cite here, image processing applications such as image classification, visualization, scene generation. So here is the difference you can see yourself. we have as far as the parallel processing is concerned, and the results we are obtaining nowadays using parallel processing. Another change what I witnessed over the years is the wireless or the web network. You all know that network integrates computer servers, file servers, workstations, and shared peripherals. So any user can have the access of the data peripherals across the network very easily. If I talk about the recent trends, lead to faster availability of data at lower cost across these networks in real time. So this was on the hardware front. So much changes we have been witnessing over the years. The second point I would like to share with you in the field of platforms, sensor platforms. You can see over here this remote sensing instruments, imaging sensors, non-imaging sensors are there, and then we can have optical imaging sensors, thermal imaging sensors, radar imaging sensors nowadays, which we are nowadays using in planting. As far as recent trends in remote sensing and earth observation platforms, they are working together. They are working together in a way like that. Light detection, ranging radar, they are being integrated with satellite aerial photograph as well as unmanned aerial vehicle platforms. And here is the change you can see. You can see over here that the proportion of optical sensors in our use is more than any other ones. This is above 55%, whereas SAR data is being used out of the total of the sensors which provide data, 20%. Radar and thermal, they are also being used for various activities, for various problem solvings. 3D elevation data is also becoming very popular nowadays. So coming from, from that time when GIS and when we started with GIS, we didn't have many sensors. We didn't have many such modern, sensors which can be used. But nowadays, so much so change we are able to see in this area. As far as softwares are concerned, ArcGIS software is one of the most popular GIS mapping software nowadays, which is popular among all academicians as well as professionals. There are many other GIS operating softwares. They are there in the market. ArcGIS is there, I mentioned, AutoCAD, Map 3D, GeoMedia, Map Info. Apart from this, there are many other WebGIS softwares, which includes Maptitude, Map Publisher, Google Maps, Live Maps, etc. So this is about the premium GIS operating softwares. These softwares are a bit hindrance in the development of GIS in our country because of the price. Nowadays, we have found the solution for this problem as well. Nowadays, we have open source softwares, two of which are very popular, ILVIS as well as Quantum GIS. Along with these softwares, we have Geoda, GIS, SIG, Map Window, OpenGeom, Saga GIS, as well as graphs softwares. By using those softwares or these softwares, we can solve many issues, many problems which we face in our research. Now, I'm coming to that section which is getting very revolutionary in nature. There are a couple of applications which we are nowadays using, and one of them is the WebGIS or the web mapping. In past, if I can recall, most digital geographic information was confined only to specialized software on desktop PCs only. But with the advent of web mapping, geographical information can be shared, visualized, and edited in the browser itself. Interactive display of geographic information is hallmark of this technique. Now, a web map, just like any website you can say, can be reached by anyone from any device that has an internet browser and an internet connection. There are plenty of applications, out of which I have put here a couple of those. You can use web mapping for OpenStreetMaps. We are using web mapping for providing migration map, world migration map. We are also able to provide through this web mapping earth weather, the live earth weather, the earth phenomena which are taking place at the moment in various parts of the globe, as well as route planner. So I can say there are a number of applications which can be used by using web mapping, and which can be shared by, or which can be looked, or which can be downloaded by people who are in need of these. So this is one such new dimension attached with the GIS, the modern GIS. Another aspect is getting popular nowadays is the 4D GIS. Dear friends, the increase of the location-based services and the emergence of technologies like big data analytics and artificial intelligence, they are the important drivers of 4D GIS. Earlier, we used to have only 2D and 3D applications, but nowadays we are including the time as well. So together, all it becomes the 4D GIS. So basically, the purpose of using 4D GIS is to capture dynamic processes through use of machine learning, through neural network, which enable us to get real-time data of any area. 4D GIS is also becoming an important tool in monitoring various changes which are taking place on our planet. Example, the weather patterns, what we are seeing nowadays. We also using 4D GIS for better communication, for better decision-making capabilities in the government sector, in the private sector, in the health sector, in the aerospace sector, in the defense sector, as well as in the construction sector as well. So this is also becoming very handy for we people to use this recent development in GIS. There is another aspect which is being talked about nowadays, that is enterprise GIS. Enterprise GIS is a platform for delivering organization-wide geospatial capabilities to many users at one point of time. Its advantages are using a common infrastructure for building and deploying GIS solutions. The example can be like if we have the data of our city, so it can be used by police department, by public health department, by any other department which are there for the services. It is extending geospatial capabilities to an enterprise community. And as well as it is also increasing overall operating efficiency. I cited some of the applications which range from complex spatial models to delivery of services encompassing government, business, and citizens related. So this is also very important GIS application nowadays. In many cities, this is there in operation, and it is also getting its space in our daily life. Another aspect of modern GIS is, or the recent GIS, is indoor mapping, UI. UI mean user interfaces, and Internet of Things. To start with the indoor mapping, nowadays we need to navigate at larger areas. Sometimes we need to have the data within a complex or a building for safety purposes, for emergency purposes. So this new addition, this is the new addition to the mapping through GIS, where we can use this for various purposes. User interface is also getting popular in GIS, where we can develop, or we can create, we can add, we can edit, and we can remove elements if we wish to. The example is Google Earth, where it provides us so many facilities of addition, deletion, etc. So in a way, it is helping we people to have the information of those places where we cannot go or which we do not have. The another aspect of recent trend in GIS is information of things. Friends, GIS is tapping into the growing network of internet connected devices that make up the GIS and the more data availability in real time. So this is also a very important aspects nowadays we are coming across in GIS. You also have heard about the mobile mapping. Many of the researchers, they are using, or many of the users, they are using mobile mapping nowadays. Mobile mapping is the combination of GIS software. It is the combination of navigation, and it is also have the mobile computing devices. Mobile mapping allows us to visualize information in a digital map, where we can collect information, where we can interact directly with the world around you. We can use mobile mapping for various purposes. It can be while collecting field data. It can be used for public information services. It is being used for online services and navigations. And it is also being used for emergency services and disaster management services. So mobile mapping is getting very popular. So all these techniques, starting with web mapping, 4D GIS, enterprise GIS, indoor mapping, user interfaces, Internet of Things, and mobile mapping. They are providing many solutions to our many of the issues which we are facing nowadays in our cities, in our villages. Some of the application of the GIS, the recent GIS, as I mentioned, that I have been working upon the research area of cities and villages, how we can provide solution to the issues pertaining to the people living in villages, how we can provide solution to the people living in cities, as mentioned by Professor Salahuddin, that we are facing so many issues in our cities, in our villages. So GIS is a platform for all these applications nowadays which are there. They are providing a solution to numerous issues. I'm not saying that GIS is the only solution for all these issues, but I can firmly say that GIS is helping us in a big way, more than what we used to have in the past. Here is the a depiction of a map of a village where by using GIS or where using GIS softwares, we can very easily, or we can have a plenty of data of the people residing in the village in each household. Here you can see the level of education of the each people in the living in the household, and basis on this, we can, the government can plan the activities which are to be introduced in the villages on the base of the education. And there are so many other applications. There are so many schemes which are run by either state government or the central government, which need to be looked into, whether they are reached to the last person. So here GIS can be very handy by adopting this particular application. Similarly, if we have the utility map of all the villages, utility features of all the villages, so we can come across all the issues, and particularly those issues which hit us like disasters which are striking at no point of time. There we can use these services, these maps to provide the people residing in these places safer places, or we can save many lives as well. Not only this, we can develop the entire landscape of a village, be it inhabited area, be it utility services which are there in the village, but also to the areas which are there in the form of fields, agricultural fields, which are also facing many issues like water table, which are also facing many issues like soil conditions, temperature, and as well as many diseases which are hitting the crops. So there are many solutions which we can affect by using GIS technology. As far as cities are concerned, you can see over here, by using GIS, we can know about the status of groundwater level in the entire city, where the water is just below the ground, or where the water is too deep in the subsurface. We can make planning accordingly. We can extract water from here to add into the supply groundwater if it is drinkable, or we can stop people using the groundwater because the groundwater is too deep here. So GIS in the city not only help in groundwater or providing drinking water facilities, but also providing us numerous applications. Like, we face so much traffic jam issues. Every city is facing, or every one of us is facing, is this situation. So by using real-time data, we can draw maps. We can provide alternate routes as well as to the people. So this is the beauty of GIS. This is the strength of GIS, where we can have many solutions pertaining to our daily life, pertaining to micro to local, micro to global levels. As far as status of GIS, or status of the geography in our country, which Professor Salahuddin mentioned, and which I also mentioned. So this is a map of Haryana, where couple of years back, where I tried to find out that where we can have the departments which have the facility of GIS laboratories. So it was, I found that many of the colleges which are running PG courses, they are using Quantum GIS, because Quantum GIS is a freely available software. Of course, many colleges, they are having the paid softwares as well. But we all know that in many educational institutes, we are short of money, we are short of funds. So Quantum GIS and open source GIS softwares, they are there for we people to help, for researchers to do their research, for planners to do, or to planners to find the issues, the problems which are being faced by people around them. In the last, I can say, this is happening due to openness of the systems, availability of softwares, availability of the data sources, data sets, which has made the GIS which we are using nowadays quite easy, usable, and very effective tool as well. It is also leading us to move from the traditional applications which we used to do earlier. It is also augment reality applications. It is also apps are there which provide virtual reality, as well as GIS of today it is also provide us the convergence of 3D and mobile GIS so that we can conduct not only research but also solution to many of the issues we are facing. So this is my contribution and today's lecture, and I'm thankful to the Dr. Biswajit Roy and other listeners that in our subject, we need to, of course, Dr. Salahuddin's lecture was very effective one, and one uh, in the audience asked which mode we use, the new technology or the convention one. So my answer to this is that we can use the blend of modes. While using conventional techniques, we can add on the information, the knowledge by using GIS. Thank you very much.
Thank
So,
you so much,
yes.
sir. Really, you have, through your lecture, we have visited the journey of geographic information system which we apply. And yes, as SAIARD from the very beginning of our institution, we have started our journey with the application of GIS technology in different aspects also. And you will be happy to know that under our SAIARD platform, we have developed another wings, that is the International Institute of Geospatial Science and Technology (IIGST) platform, which is already now recognized by an University of Government of West Bengal for conducting courses and all that. In future and in recent years, we are also focusing for the application part of the different aspects like urban agriculture in different aspects, disaster also. Along with that, we have started courses by the university affiliated courses, that is the geoinformatics, disaster management and geoinformatics. In future, we are also looking forward to apply this GIS technology into the different aspects, I mean the agricultural aspect, urban aspect, health aspect, through this platform. And you will be happy to know that, and I am also happy to share that through this platform, our institutions, our students has already got the job opportunities with a very limited course fee they have to pay, and they have got the same job opportunity which they have to pay for the same course, which for which they have to pay 8 lakhs or 7 lakhs rupees like that. So as an academician, it's not my challenge, but you can say it's one kind of my vision and mission that we have to reach this technology at a very minimum cost to the students, as the students can able to know the technology as well as its application gets. Now in the contemporary world, we have to know the theory as well as the practical aspects also. And now the subject, what I feel that since of my 14 years teaching experience, what I feel that now and including knowledge, now our students have to be a part of skill-based platform. Otherwise, we will not be able to enter into the decision-making world. And this is one of my challenge also, as that our subject, our students can also be take part in the decision-making. And in that sense, the SAIARD platform has also we have started working. We have also included the resource persons like you, like Qureshi sir, and throughout the world to, and also created the platform for both the students, for both the scholars, for both the research professors and all that, even the government officials too, to include them into the one platform, to bring them into the single platform, as that we can exchange our ideas. What are the fallacies? We can also identify our fallacies. What are the I'm not saying that I'm 100% perfect or anybody 100% perfect, but yes, definitely in single platform we can whenever we are going to share our exchange of knowledge and all that, it will definitely help us to know in which positions we are. So, and in that sense, we require the experience, we require the knowledge from all kinds of people, from all ages of people, as that through this we can also identify what we will, what we should do to establish our platform, establish our subject into the decision-making platform, which is mostly required because geographers are mostly basically fortunate because we are studying lots of subjects. We are studying, there are versatile platforms we get, we study, we have to learn through our academic journey. And in that sense, definitely it will be helpful in future if we think in a different way, if we design our academic content in a different way. So in this regard, both of your lecture is really, really helpful for all of us, especially the young geographers who will come into the platform in future, and those will hold the hand of geography as well. So thank you once again on behalf of me, on behalf of SAIARD.
And thank you, Professor Mehtab Singh Saab, for a very nice 3D lecture. And for as far as remote sensing and GIS techniques are concerned, I'm little aware about remote sensing as I also did a course from Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, Hati Burkara, Dehradun. And it was in 1986 and one more in 2005. As far as about your Nagi conference in 2004 was during the month of Ramadan. And our Honorable Vice Chancellor was an IAS officer, uh, Professor Naseem Ahmed from Haryana, batch. And so we requested him that our students, large in number, research scholars, large in number, want to attend this prestigious conference in Maharishi Dayananda University. As I had served under him for a brief time during 2003-2004 as a registrar of the university also, so the Vice Chancellor graciously allowed me to take the 25-seater bus. And I came to your place for 3 days. What I want to mention is specific here is that during the month of Ramadan, you had made a special arrangement for our earliest morning sehri, and also the iftar time. That was so kind and gracious of you, sir. Thank you.
So thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful informative lecture with us. We hope everyone enjoyed this amazing presentation. So it's now our question and answer season. Dear participant, if you have any query, you can directly interact with sir, or you can raise your hand in Google Meet.
हेलो हेलो थैंक यू विश्वजीत राय सर थैंक यू बहुत बहुत बधाई आपको वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव इन ऑल एस्पेक्ट सुदीप दे आल्सो थैंक्स मोहम्मद कुरैशी साहब फ्रॉम अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी उनको भी नमस्कार करते हैं सर आए हुए हैं बहुत आपको भी मेहताब साहब एमकी यूनिवर्सिटी रोहतक हरियाणा उनको भी बहुत बहुत प्रणाम और वेलकम सर सब ऑर्गेनाइज समिति को नमस्कार नमस्कार सर नमस्कार
So thank you. All the audience, all the participants, all the resource persons and faculty from the different countries as well as India also, and especially our distinguished speakers for today's lecture series. And we have successfully, that can say that we have successfully completed our today's lecture session as well. And in the coming month, we are also looking forward to some another speakers from another 2 universities also. And in this, once again, I must thanks for joining with us and hope in the coming lecture series you will be notified through our social media platforms, our websites too. And I expect you also associate with us. And I also request that you can also associate with your students, with your colleagues as well, because this is with this discussion platform. So with this, once again, I must give my sincere thanks to all the distinguished speakers, especially Qureshi sir and Singh Rana sir for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, sir, we can positively hope that you will be joined with us in our upcoming capacity building program and lectures